Last season, both the Giants and Washington ranked amongst the league's worst offenses. New York finished in the bottom 3 in points per game, yards per game, and efficiency. As for Washington, no team saw worse quarterback play as they posted the league's lowest team total QBR. All right, Mina, which offense do you see making the bigger leap in the NFC East this season?
You know, Field, I think it's going to be Washington. We're between Washington and New York. Just because of where they're coming from in terms of the quarterback play they got last year, which, as you just saw, was near the bottom of the NFL by just about every metric. Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to provide you with an immediate upgrade for that. I smiled when he talked about how his ability to go from team to team has given him a unique skill set because he is the definition of a journeyman quarterback, but he also played at a really high level last year, coupled with, I think, a pretty good group of skill players in Washington that upgraded, adding Curtis Samuel, drafting Diami Brown. I believe Terry McLaurin is a true number 1, and a running game that is already quite good with Antonio Gibson. And the thing about Washington is, just to speak a little bit more globally about this team, the offense doesn't need to be great because the defense is not just the best in the NFC East. Washington is a top 3 defense in the NFL. With that sort of defense, you just need an offense that's average. And I truly think Ryan Fitzpatrick it's almost a guarantee he's going to give you at least average quarterback play. So if we're looking at these teams and who's going to make the biggest leap, it's the football team for me.
For more on the top 10 defenses in the NFL, by the way, check out the Mina Kimes podcast featuring co-host Lenny. They did a great podcast on that, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Ryan, if not now, well, then when for the Giants and Daniel Jones? Because he is entering the all-important 3rd year for a first-round quarterback.
No, it's now or never for Daniel Jones. This is the year where they have to see what he has. You draft Kadarius Toney in the 1st round out of Florida. Obviously, you spend the big money, over $70 million on Kenny Golladay. You bring in Kyle Rudolph. And so now, Daniel Jones, you have to show us who you are. You have a healthy Saquon who was injured last year. You have an opportunity to be a little better protected, and you have the weapons. This is when Dave Gettleman's pick has to show up. This is when Dave Gettleman has to show us that he was smarter than the rest of the world when he drafted Daniel Jones overall at number 6. And so I'm excited to see what this offense can be. And they can be a sleeper in this division. They can be a dark horse that challenges the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington football team. But it all depends on what happens at the quarterback position for New York.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ryan. And I also wonder, these upgrades at skill player in New York, was that the right move, focusing on that instead of the offensive line, which was a group that a lot of people thought they would upgrade either in the draft or free agency? Kevin Zeitler walked. We know about Daniel Jones' issues with turnovers and sometimes handling pressure. Did they do enough to help him? I'm not so sure.
Mina, as you mentioned, turnovers have been a problem for Daniel Jones. He has 29 fumbles in his first 2 seasons. That's the 2nd most for a player's first 2 seasons in NFL history, trailing only Tony Banks.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.